I refused to invite my brother to my wedding, and it turned into a family war. I'm writing this because I feel like I'm losing my mind. I'm a doctor. 8 years ago, I immigrated to the US, and nothing about it was easy. Revalidating my degree, fighting for a residency spot, surviving shifts that blurred into 36-hour marathons, I kept going anyway. Now I have the life I worked myself half to death for. A job I genuinely love at a good hospital, financial independence, and, most importantly, Mark. Mark is my fiancé. He's an architect, calm, grounded, thoughtful, and the kind of steady presence I didn't realize I'd been craving my whole life. In 4 months, we're getting married. We're not doing anything huge. We want something small and warm in our backyard, string lights, a little live music, and only the people closest to us. And that's where everything exploded. My parents, Catherine, 62, and Sam, 65, still live back home. I invited them immediately. I bought their tickets and started getting our guest room ready. My dad was ecstatic. He adores Mark and couldn't wait for the moment he could officially call him his son. My mum, though, turned one simple conversation into the opening act of a full-scale family war. We just finished talking about their travel dates when she said casually, like it was obvious, "Ilara, don't forget to prepare an invitation letter for Leo too. He'll need it for a visa. You know how hard it is right now." Leo, my younger brother, 26 years old, and I wasn't inviting him. Not to my wedding, not into my home, not into the first day of my new family. Because my relationship with Leo isn't a normal sibling relationship. It's years of emotional abuse from him, with my parents, especially my mother, excusing it as if it was background noise I was supposed to ignore. Leo has always been the golden child. Everything was forgiven. Everything was explained away. When he was 16, he took my father's car without permission and crashed it. Consequences, none. My mother brushed it off. He just wanted to impress a girl. It happens. When I got a single B at that age, I lost my allowance for a month, so I wouldn't get lazy. In university, I worked nights as a waitress to pay for English courses and medical books because my scholarship barely covered food. Around that same time, Leo failed yet another semester and got rewarded with a brand new gaming console to help him de-stress so he could focus. He grew up believing the world owed him something, and he treated me like I was nothing. Any achievement of mine was immediately dismissed. When I passed one of my US licensing exams, you just got lucky with the questions. When I started working as a doctor, someone has to deal with sick people and bodily fluids, I guess. The final straw came 5 years ago, when he visited me, entirely on my dime. In 1 week, he managed to insult my apartment, my job, my friends, my city. He left behind trash, an unpaid bar tab, and that drained, filthy feeling you get after someone has been in your space and made it clear they don't respect you. Since then, our relationship has been limited to stiff birthday texts and occasional forced phone calls. So, when my mother demanded I send him an invitation letter, I took a breath and said as evenly as I could, "Mum, Leo won't be at my wedding. I don't want him there." At first, she acted like I was joking. "Ilara, stop, don't say nonsense. Of course he'll be there. He's your brother." When she realized I meant it, the tone changed instantly. Her voice shot up into a shriek. "What will people say? What will Aunt Amanda say? This is a disgrace. Are you really cutting off your own blood?" I told her I didn't care what Aunt Valia thought. I hadn't seen that woman in a decade. What mattered was my peace on my wedding day. I wasn't going to spend it bracing for Leo's eye rolls during our vows or his sarcastic jokes to the guests. That's when my mother pulled out her favorite weapon: guilt. "After everything your father and I did for you, we sacrificed our lives for you. We paid for your exams. Do you remember? That cost us our savings. And you can't do this one little thing for your mother, invite your own brother." It was true. They helped me financially when I needed it most, It was a huge amount. I was grateful. But I also repaid every cent as soon as I started earning money in residency, even though they tried to refuse it, because I didn't want it hanging over my head forever like a leash. And I refused to let it become one. I said clearly, I'm not doing it. He's not getting an invitation, he's not getting a visa letter, and I'm not helping him use my wedding as a travel loophole. My mother ended the call by screaming that God would punish me and that she didn't raise me to be this way. Then she hung up. After that, she stopped answering. Total silence. My father texted me later. Don't worry. Your mother will cool down. I understand you. Do what's best for you. I wanted to feel relieved, but her voice stayed in my head like poison. That old training she'd spent my whole life installing. You owe us. You're selfish. You're the problem. Mark held me and said gently, that family isn't the people who demand you suffer to keep appearances. Family is the people who bring you peace. I believed him, but the guilt still sat on my chest like a weight. 3 weeks later, the silence turned out not to be reflection or acceptance. It was preparation. My mother started recruiting relatives. First came the calls from my aunts and a cousin, one after another, all saying the same things like they were reading from a script. Your mother's blood pressure is up. She can't sleep. Leo has changed. Family is sacred. You'll regret this, I tried to explain, calmly every time. I tried to keep it respectful. But it was like talking to a wall. They weren't calling to listen. They were calling to apply pressure. Then Leo called. He hadn't called me on his own in years. His voice had that lazy, condescending tone that used to make my jaw lock when we were teenagers. Hey, Mom says you're making some huge drama about an invitation. Can we not? Just send the letter. I want to visit the States. See how you live. I'll behave. I'll even give a toast. That was it. No apology. No acknowledgement of the way he'd treated me for decades. No curiosity about why I didn't want him there. Just, don't be dramatic. Make it easy for me. Give me what I want. In that moment, whatever guilt I still had evaporated. It was like someone switched off the noise and left only clarity. Leo, I said, flat and steady, I'm not sending anything. You're not coming to my wedding. I'm done discussing this. And I hung up. 10 minutes later, my mother called back to back until my phone became unbearable. When I finally answered, she didn't pretend anymore. She screamed that I was heartless, that I humiliated him, that he made the first step and swallowed his pride. What pride? The pride of demanding a visa letter like he was ordering delivery. Then she moved to religion. God sees everything. He punishes children who betray their families. You won't have happiness in your marriage if you begin it with this sin. You're spitting on your own mother's soul. Something inside me snapped, quietly, cleanly. A spring that had been compressed for 30 years finally released. Mom, I said, and my voice was calm in a way that scared even me. Listen carefully. This is my wedding. Mark and I will be surrounded by people who genuinely love us and want us well. Leo is not one of those people. She tried to interrupt, but I didn't let her. If you keep pushing, if you bring his name into my wedding again even once, you won't be coming either. I'm not letting you or him turn the most important day of my life into another performance. There was a long, stunned silence. Then she whispered, venomous, "You're threatening your own mother." "I'm setting boundaries," I said. "The ones you've ignored my entire life. The choice is yours." She started screaming again. I ended the call. That night my father called. He sounded exhausted and defeated. He told me my mother was crying non-stop, taking sedatives, acting like she'd been destroyed. He said he'd never seen her like this. Then, with careful hope, he asked if there was any compromise. I told him about Leo's call, the way he spoke, what he wanted, how little he cared. My father sighed hard, like something finally clicked. "I understand," he said quietly. "He'll never change. Do what you think is right. I'll try to talk to your mother, but I can't promise anything." I felt hollow, but also lighter. I'd never stood up to my mother like that in my life. It felt like breathing after years underwater. But it still hurt. I was terrified of the idea that she wouldn't be at my wedding at all. Mark cancelled his plans, ordered our favourite food, and stayed wrapped around me until my body stopped shaking. He promised me we'd be okay no matter what, that if it came down to it, we'd celebrate with just us and the people who chose peace. Another month passed, the longest, most anxious month of my life. With a week left before the wedding, my mother still hadn't spoken to me. She ignored my occasional "How are you?" texts. She didn't answer calls. My father sent short updates. "Things are tense. Your mother barely speaks. She isn't packing." When I asked directly if they were coming, he replied, "I'm coming for sure. About your mother, I don't know." The uncertainty was torture. We even planned how to explain her absence to guests without turning the day into gossip. Then, 3 days before the wedding, my father sent a photo from the airport. He and my mother were sitting at the gate. My heart dropped, relief and dread at the same time. They arrived together, but it wasn't warm. My father hugged me like he'd been holding his breath for weeks. My mother approached like I was a stranger, allowed a stiff embrace, then stared out the car window the entire ride to our house while my father tried to fill the silence with small talk. That evening, we had dinner with Mark's parents, Carol and Tom. They're everything my family isn't. Open, affectionate, loud in the best way. They hugged my parents immediately, asked questions, laughed easily. My mother sat through it all with the posture of an offended queen. Short answers, no warmth, no effort. Then Carol turned to her, smiling sincerely, and said something like, "Irina, you must be so proud of Ilara. She's a brilliant doctor and a wonderful person. Mark is incredibly lucky." My mother paused, looked around the table with a cold, measured glance, and said with a tight smile, "Yes. It's just a shame that when children find success abroad, they sometimes forget what matters most. Family." The room went quiet. It felt like a public slap. Mark reacted immediately. Without missing a beat, he turned to his dad and said brightly, "Dad, did you see the grill I found? I think we're going to break it in for the housewarming." He changed the subject so smoothly it almost didn't feel real. The dinner recovered, but the sting stayed in my skin. Later, I broke down crying and told Mark I'd made a mistake letting her come, that her silent disapproval and passive aggression hurt more than screaming ever did. I was sure she'd ruin the wedding. Mark held my face and looked me straight in the eyes. "You didn't do anything wrong," he said. "You gave her a choice. She came on her terms. Now we don't let her win. Tomorrow you marry me. You'll look at me. And if she tries anything, my parents and I will handle it. You're not alone." The wedding day arrived. Sunny, perfect weather, the kind of day people describe as meant to be. My morning was pure anxiety. My mother came into the room once while I was getting ready. She looked at me in my dress, said nothing, and walked out. "No, you look beautiful. No, I'm happy for you." Nothing. My father saved me. When he came to walk me down the aisle, he stopped and stared at me with wet eyes. "My girl," he whispered, voice breaking. "Take my hand and forget everything else. Look at the man waiting for you. You built an incredible life. You became strong and independent and brilliant. I am so proud of you. You have no idea." He hesitated, then added softly, "Your mother loves you, but her love is damaged. Don't let her broken love break your day." When I stepped outside and saw Mark at the end of the aisle, looking at me like I was the only person in the world, everything else finally blurred. Our ceremony was small and deeply emotional. We wrote our own vows, our humour, our hard years, our trust, all of it. I could feel my mother's gaze heavy and sharp, but I didn't turn my head once. At the reception, something shifted. Maybe the atmosphere softened her. Maybe it was champagne. Maybe she was exhausted from holding her anger for so long. She gave a toast, short, controlled, almost formal. To Ilara and Mark, be happy. And she never mentioned Leo. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't acceptance. It was a quiet concession without admitting defeat. And I took it. The most healing moment came during my dance with my father. As he spun me gently under the lights, he leaned in and whispered, "You did the right thing. If he had been here, it would have been a nightmare. Look at this. Look how bright this is. I love you. I will always be on your side." After the wedding, when we drove my parents to the airport, I hugged my mother goodbye. This time she hugged back. Not warmly, not fully, but honestly. "Be happy," she said quietly. It wasn't reconciliation. It was a ceasefire. Looking back, I don't regret anything. My wedding was beautiful. Not because everything was flawless, but because the person who had poisoned my life for years was not there to poison that day too. My relationship with my mother will never be what it was. That scar will stay. But maybe, on the ruins of old toxic patterns, something new can exist, something built on respect instead of obligation and guilt. I learned that sometimes, to build your own family, you have to close the door on the relatives who only bring destruction. And that isn't selfishness, it's survival.
That's where the story ends. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of this story in the comments. Subscribe to the channel and see you next time.